Have a shadow that you want to remove from the face in Photoshop? Hi, I'm Jason Ulsrud, the Photillustrator, and today I'm going to show you how to quickly and easily remove these pesky little shadows from the face using Photoshop. So just recently I was working on a composited portrait that I'm doing for a family, and I ran into this problem where one of the kids that I photographed had a harsh shadow on part of his face. So I went into Lightroom and I went into Photoshop and I started playing around with it to see if I could figure this out. The last thing I wanted to do was actually go back to the family and ask to re-photograph the kid, because that doesn't make me look good. And so I had to figure this out in Lightroom and Photoshop. So what you're going to see today is that process of figuring out how to remove that shadow from the kid's face and make it look convincing. All right, so before we get into this video, if you don't mind, if you find value in what you see here, go ahead and hit that thumbs up and like this video. Also, I'd love for you to subscribe if you want to see more awesome videos just like this.
All righty, good and tidy. All right, so here we are in Lightroom, where we are going to make some changes to this little guy because we are going to lay him into our composite, which is this scene here. And the thing is, we have a window over here to the left that is going to be providing some light. And so when we look at his shadowing, that does not make sense. All right, I just basically just screwed the pooch on this. And rather than going back to the family and re-photographing this little guy, because that would make me look not competent, let's see what we can do in Photoshop and Lightroom and see if we can make some changes to this. All right, so let's start off by bringing our shadows all the way up to 100. All right, our highlights all the way down to 100, which I like doing because then I can build the shadows and highlights in Photoshop. And then we're going to bring the exposure up. Now I like my images overexposed, again, to kind of flatten them out, and so I can build those shadows and highlights in Photoshop. All right, and then we're going to bring our blacks up, and we're going to bring those up a good amount. That's looking pretty good. You don't want to bring it up too much, then it just looks kind of milky and not necessarily good. So there's a kind of a point there that your blacks are going to start to lose their integrity, and it's about right there that you want to stop. All right, so we're going to go to about 42 on that, and then I'm just going to make my other couple of basic changes where I bring my luminance up to 20 and I remove chromatic aberrations. And then from here, I'm going to take this into Photoshop and we're going to lay it into our scene here, which I've already done and made some basic edits to this little guy. The problem is we still have this dark area on this side of his head and his body. Now, the thing is, one thing that we have to just keep in mind is that we're not going for realistic. There's no way to make this thing look, you know, balls on realistic. We're just going for convincing. Can we create something that's convincing enough that when this family or most other people look at this image, they're not going to really even notice this? And now I realize you photographers will know it, and I will know it. And that's not to say it doesn't bug me a little bit, but you know, it is what it is, and we're trying to please our client, not me, not you. All right, so we're going to go in here. We have our brush on white. We have our, what I titled O, which is overlay. So we want to make sure we put a blend mode of overlay on this layer. We have our brush on white. We have our opacity up to 100%, our flow down to 1%. And now we're just going to go in and we're going to start painting this area of his head. All right. And now the nice thing about it being on 1% is that it's not just one fell swoop and there you have it, because you have no control over that. And there's different areas that are a little bit darker, which then you have more control in going in and painting those out just a little bit. All right. And we get into the close down here, and we're just going to do a basic, you know, once over on that. And then we're going to come back. Again, this is why it's nice to do 1%, because it's a building effect. You build on it. And then we're going to come in here and we're just going to give his arm here a nice little highlight, and his back here just a nice little highlight. All right. And then we can go in here and do the same thing to the little handlebars if you want. Come up here. I'm going to keep building this up just a little bit. so it doesn't look so shadowy, all right? And the nice thing is when we go to print this thing on our 50-inch canvas, and in this case, the family will be getting a 50-inch canvas, this will look solid. This will look nice. Then we're going to change over to our blacks. Here, let's go in here. We can go in here and fix some of the nose here. It looks a little too darkish. All right. And we can fix a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of that. And then we're going to come in here and we're going to build up some shadows in here. So again, we're just going to make it look a little bit more convincing. We're not going to get into a lot of detail on this part of it here, but we can come in here and just build some shadows into the front of the body to give it the illusion that the back is being lit just a little bit more. Just like that. Just like that. And then down here for sure. Because even with the lights coming in from the top, that area down here is going to definitely be darker. Okay. So it's not looking too dang bad right there. I'm digging it. I'm digging it really good. Okay. And then we can come in here with our white and just start adding a little bit of highlights onto this little guy's face. Just like that. You got to realize there's lights all over the place in this kitchen. So it's not unrealistic necessarily that there's going to be lights coming from all over like this. And that's why it can be convincing. If we just had one or two light sources in this little room or in this kitchen area, it would be a lot more difficult to make this happen. All right. So I can see around his eye is still a little dark for me. So with my whites, I'm just going to come in here and just start, again, painting out a little bit more there. And then if you paint too much, here's the thing. If you paint too much, you can see it beginning to happen here. You can see what it does to the skin. It just kind of looks a little gnarly. And so we're just going to come in here and get our brush or erase tool. And come in here and just paint out some of that. Go back. And then we can come in here and just paint out what we want. And that's how you do it. All right. And just keep messing with it until you get it. And it's not looking too bad right there. It's looking convincing, at least. It doesn't look like I photographed him with one strobe that gave a harsh shadow here in this case. There. We go from there to there. That's not too bad.
All right, so that wraps up today's tutorial on removing those pesky shadows from the face in Photoshop. Now, if you like this video, go ahead and hit the thumbs up if you found value in it. And also, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and get more awesome video tutorials. And until next time, keep making awesome pictures.